Got it. Text sent. Looks like we're just about ready to roll here. Okay, everybody. Okay, looks like we got a lot of devotees here, so we're gonna start the class. First, we're gonna chant some nice bhajan. I'll find my songbook. There it is. And let's see. All right. We'll chant Guru Vandana. Gujaran Padma Bhagavati Sana Madan Mui Savatana Mate Yakara Prasade Maya Krishna Prapti Hoy Te Guru Padma Pakya Te Gori Akaya Ranakori Amane Asana Shigoja Rane Rati Ese Utamakade Eprasade Uresava Asha Takunandino Yedan Vijan Me Prabhu Sahi Divyan Rede Katsita Prema Bhaktiyo Ite Avajavanasa Yate Lady Gaya Chitrida Shri Guru Karunasindu Anamanana Bandhu Lokenat Lokera Jivana Prabhu Kodaya De Amoripada Vyasku Sutri Bhuvana Baby Vyasku Sutri Bhuvana Prabhupada 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvakacharya Osateta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Chaitanya Bhagavat Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Maturadam Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Yamuna Maya Ki Jai, Srimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Budale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste, Saraswati Devi Gaurvadi Pacharni Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschachate Shatari. So I'll just recite the translation of this prayer, the lotus feet of our spiritual master, and the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic pain emanates, bio-ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So before we go on to the Caitanya Bhagavat, which is our evening reading, I just want to mention, let me just pull this up, that it is a special day in the Vaishnava calendar. And what this day is, all right. This is the disappearance day of Bhagavad Goswami and Kashishvara Pandit. So very quickly, Bhagavad Goswami was a great associate of Lokanath Goswami, and he was a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit Goswami. And Gadadhar Bhagavad Goswami went to Vrindavan with Lokanath Goswami. In the Gauragandashtipika, he's described as Prema Manjari in Krishna Leela. He was inseparable from Lokanath Goswami. So that's Bhagavad Goswami. And Kashishvara Pandit a very interesting personality. So, let's see. Oh, Kashishra, this is very interesting. When Rupa Goswami discovered Govinda Dev, then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Kashishra Pandit, who was Kashishra Pandit was Lord Chaitanya's personal assistant. So Lord Chaitanya told Kashishra Pandit to join Rupa Goswami, but Kashishra Pandit refused, saying, "I'm not going to leave your association." Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Well, you can have my association," in the sense that he gave Kashishra Pandit a self-manifested deity of himself. And so Kashishra actually went to Vrindavan to work with Rupa Goswami in serving Govinda Dev. Now, another interesting thing about Kashishra Pandit, he was a disciple of Ishwara Puri, who is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master. So Kashishra and another disciple of Ishwara Puri, Govinda, were assigned by Ishwara Puri to serve Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In other words, Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master assigned two of his disciples, or Lord Chaitanya's godbrothers, to serve him, which is quite interesting because according to the normal etiquette, one's not supposed to take a servant from amongst one's godbrothers or godsisters. It's just not proper. So there was a whole question there, should Lord Chaitanya accept or should Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not accept them as servants? Well, the overriding principle was that they were actually ordered to do so by their guru. So the guru's order overrides ordinary etiquette. So that's an interesting phenomenon that we have here, because it's higher priorities and lower priorities. So the guru's order stands supreme, even if it violates ordinary etiquette. And of course, the guru will never do anything that violates Krishna's desire. But sometimes even Krishna had to violate ordinary etiquette, by lying sometimes, or fighting and defending Arjuna in the Battle of Kurukshetra, in spite of having promised not to fight, to never take up arms. So, arms, not arms. So, arms. Okay, so with that in mind, those two great personalities disappeared today. We will go to the Caitanya Bhagavat. So, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All right. So then we share the screen so everybody can read along with us. We are on the 4th chapter of the Adi Leela, the Adi Khans of the Caitanya Bhagavat, and we are on text 141. Let me just change the spacing on this a little bit. 1 second. All right. Got it. Okay, text 141. We are reading about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's childhood. So, Hey Mata Ranga Kare Vaikuntara Raya Ke Tanre Janite Pare Yadina Janaya. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha performed amazing pastimes. Who can understand those pastimes unless the Lord reveals them? So the commentary, and the commentaries are by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The word Ranga means to enjoy pastimes. For an explanation of the second line of this verse, one may refer to the prayers of Lord Brahma in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-29. Veda Gopya Esava Hatyana Yeshune Tanra Drida Bhakti Hoya Caitanya Charane. Whoever hears these topics, which are confidential to even the Vedas, will certainly attain firm devotion for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. So it's guaranteed. So of course we're ending the chapter, this particular chapter right now. This is called a Shruti Pala. Shruti Pala means the fruit of hearing. So the fruit of hearing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is you attain firm devotion to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And how do you do that? By hearing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, serving Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and serving Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees. That devotion is inherent in you. So we were having that discussion today, which we've been having over the last few days, about inherent or inherited. So Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. That Krishna Prem is there as part of the soul's constitutional nature. It simply has to be woken up. Jiv Jago, Gaur Chandra Bole, Kota Nidra Yal Maya, Visa Chira Kole. So accepting Sri Chaitanya Nityananda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Chanda Jhana, Vrindavana Dasa Tachu Pada Yuge Gana. Accepting Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. So thus ends the English translation of the Gaudiya Bhasha of Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, Chapter 4, entitled Name-Giving Ceremony, Childhood Pastimes, and Thieves Kidnap the Lord. Chapter 5, Eating the Mendicant Brahmana's Offerings. So we're not going to read the chapter summary. The reason for that is it'll just give away the whole story. So we'll just so we're just going to go on to the verses here. Okay. Jaya Jaya Bhakta Priya Prabhu Vishvambara Dvaja Vrajankusha Pada Mahamaheshwara. All glories to the devotees, beloved Lord Vishwambara, whose lotus feet are marked with flag, thunderbolt, and goad. He is the Lord of all lords. And the lotus feet of Sri Vishnu, who is the Lord of lords, are marked with flag, thunderbolt, goad, and banner. Now, if you don't know what a goad is, it's not a goat. It's a staff for herding elephants. An elephant goad. So if you want to see what that is, you better go and see some elephants. So, Hey Namate Ache Prabhu Jagannatha Gare Alakshite Bahuvida Swaprakasha Kare. In this way, the Lord secretly manifested various pastimes while residing in the house of Jagannath Mishra. Remember, he's a child. So, Ekadina Dhaki Bole Mishra Purandara Amara Pushtaka Hana Bapa Vishwambara. One day, Jagannath Mishra called to Vishwambara, my dear son, please bring my book. Bapere Vachana Shuni Garidana Yaya Runuj Hunu Kadiye Nupura Baje Paya. Hearing his father's words, Vishwambara ran into the room, and the sound of ankle bells was heard as he moved. Even though he didn't have ankle bells. You'll hear about this. Sri Gaurasundara began to manifest his unlimitedly variegated pastimes of Vaikuntha that surpass the material intelligence and vision of ordinary people. Mishrabole Kotashune Nupurera Dhwani Chaturdike Chaidvi Brahmana Brahmane. Jagannath Mishra said, "From where is the sound of ankle bells coming?" The Brahmin couple then began to look around. The word runuj hunu refers to the gentle, sweet sound of ankle bells. Amara putrera paye nahika nupara kotaya bhajila vajja nupara madhura. My son is not wearing ankle bells. So where has the sweet sound of ankle bells come from? Ki adbhuta dvichane mane mane gane vachana naspure tve janera vadane. They both considered the incident to be most strange, and they were unable to speak. Punti dia prabhu Chalilena kelaite aradbhuta de kegia grihera majhete. The Lord gave the book to his father and then went outside to play. But when the couple went inside the room, they experienced another wonder. Sabagrihe deke aparupa padachina Nvaja Braja Angusha Patakari Bina Bina. All over the room, they saw extraordinary footprints decorated with signs like the flag, thunderbolt, goad, and banner. So, of course, those are Krishna's footprints, which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was manifesting. Anandita Donhe Dekhi Apurva Charana Done Haila Pulakita Sajala Nayana. They both became filled with ecstasy on seeing those incomparable footprints. Their hairs stood on end and tears flowed from their eyes. Pada Padma Deki Donhe Kari Namaskara Done Bole Nistarimu Janma Nahi Hara. They both offered obeisances to those lotus footprints and said, "We're delivered! We will not take another birth." Even though they're Lord Chaitanya's eternal parents. And here's an interesting commentary by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One who even once sees the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu is delivered from material existence. In other words, such a person attains the supreme destination, known as that place from which no one returns. It is stated in the Vishnu Damotara. Tavad Brahmati samsare manusha manda buddhaya yavad rupam na pasyanti keshavasya mahatmana. A less intelligent person continually wanders in the cycle of birth and death as long as he does not see the form of Keshava. Understanding this, the Brahmin couple, who consider themselves ordinary persons, spoke in this way. So, of course, we get the opportunity to see the lotus feet of the Lord every day. We are so fortunate. And also we get to see the lotus feet of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. And even more important than that is Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koryakya. Every day we get to hear the voice of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, within this sound vibration of the words coming from a bona fide spiritual master, are these saffron dust particles from the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all you have to do is to hear from a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. And all you have to do is go on the internet and look for some video or some audio of Srila Prabhupada speaking, if you don't have it in your own phone, which I do. Every day I listen to Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada's classes, conversations, lectures, everything is on my phone. So just by hearing that, I'm coming in contact with Krishna's lotus feet. Therefore, I am guaranteed devotional service. Mishra Bole, Shuna Viswarupera Janani, Grita Paramana, Aranda Hongapani. Jagannath Mishra said, listen, mother of Vishwarupa, go and cook some fried rice with ghee for our shalagram. Gareye Achena Damodara Shalagrama Panchagavye Sakale Karamutane Snana. Tomorrow morning I will bathe our Damodar Shalagram with Panchagavya. So Panchagavya, the 5 products of the cow, which are described here, which I was going to describe anyway. The word Damodara Shalagrama refers to one of the 24 varieties of Shalagram Shilas. One may refer to the 5th chapter of the Hari Bhakti Vilas. The family deity of Jagannath Mishra was Sri Shalagrama. Panchagava refers to milk, yogurt, ghee, cow urine, and cow dung. And snana means abhishek, or bathing the deity. Bhujilana teno garibulena pane ataiva shunilana nuparera dwani. I can understand that our shalagram is walking around the room. That is why we heard the sound of ankle bells. It wasn't the shalagram, it was Lord Caitanya. Emate dvijane parama harishe shalagrama pujakare Prabhu Mane Hase. In this way, they both worshipped Shalagram Shila with great satisfaction, and the Lord smiled within. Araika Kata Shuna Parama Adbhuta Yeiranga Karila Prabhu Jagannatha Sutta. Now, please hear another wonderful pastime performed by the son of Jagannath. This is actually an amazing pastime. You got to hear this one. Parama Sukriti Eka Tairatitika Brahmana Krishnaro Deshikare Tirtha Paryatana. One most pious mendicant Brahmana was wandering to the various holy places in search of Krishna. Sadakshara Gopala Mantrera Kare Upasana Gopala Naivedya Vina Nakare Bhojana. He worshipped the Lord with a 6-syllable Gopal mantra, and he would eat only what he had first offered to Gopal. Commentary. The 6-syllable Gopal mantra refers to the mantra that begins with Omkara, Kama Bij, then date of case, and ending with Nama. Anyway, I'm not going to give it to you. It's what we chant. Wow, it's a pretty far out mantra. Anyway, I'm just remembering, this is beautiful. So, Taive Bhagyavan Tirtha Pramite Brahmate Asya Bin Lila Vipra Prabhuravadite. In the course of visiting the various holy places, that fortunate Brahmin arrived by providence at the house of the Lord. Now, of course, providence means it was arranged by Krishna. Krishna is providence. As Krishna says in the Gita, time I am. So Krishna was making the arrangement for his great devotee to see him. Kanti Balagopala Bhushana Shala Grama Parama Brahmanya Teja Hati Anupama. That matchless, effulgent Brahmana had a deity of Balagopal and a Shalagram Shila hanging from his neck. So the phrase Kanti Balagopal indicates that the Brahmana carried his worshipable deities of Bala, Gopala, and Shalagrama hanging from his neck as his ornaments. So actually that was a tradition. It still is. For many of the great sages, they would walk around with the deities around their necks. I remember, it was interesting, a little ISKCON history. Once upon a time, my godsister Malati went into this import store in San Francisco, and she found this little figurine, and she thought, oh, it looks interesting. Brought the figurine back and showed it to Prabhupada, and asked Prabhupada, what is this? And Prabhupada immediately offered his obeisances. And he said, Lord Jagannath has now come to San Francisco. Okay. So then Prabhupada said, do they have any other similar figurines? And Malati said, yes, they has a whole basket full of them, or a barrel full of them. And she got a whole bunch. And then the devotees started wearing them around their neck in little pouches. You'll actually see some of the pictures in the early days of the movement, how devotees were wearing them. Of course, that's not done anymore. But devotees would go around with... And I even had one of my godbrothers, actually recently, it was like 8 years ago, he would carry a whole set of Jagannath deities, not little ones, like about this big, on his chest, like a whole altar. He'd walk around like that. So it's not completely unbonafide, although it's a little unusual. So, anyway, so this Brahmana was carrying around Bala Gopal. That means little Gopal deity. Little Gopal. Like Ladu Gopal. Same thing. Ladu Gopal, Bala Gopal. And he was just carrying it around on his neck, hanging from his neck as his ornaments. And it's Nirvadi Mukhe Vipra Krishna Krishna Bole Antare Govinda Rase Tvi Chakshu Dule. He constantly chanted the name of Krishna while he kept his eyes half closed and internally relished ecstatic love for Govinda. The Govinda Rase means, in one of the 5 transcendental mellows, Shanta, Dasha, Sakya, Vatsaya, and Madhurya. Those who serve the form of Bala Gopal are understood to be situated in the parental mood. Due to intense eagerness to see his worshipable Lord, Bala Gopal, the Brahmana's thirsty eyes were always rolling. That's one of the Vyabhachari Bhavas. You know, oh, I want to see him. Very interesting. And generally, nowadays you find people mostly in the Pushti Marg who worship Bala Gopal. So, Deki Jagannatha Mishra Tejase Tanhara Sambrame Utiya Karilena Namaskara. When Jagannatha Mishra saw the effulgent Brahmana, he respectfully stood up and then offered obeisances. The word sambrame means with due respect. Atitivya Bharadharma Yena Mate Haya Sabakarilena Jagannatha Mahashaya. Jagannath Mishra received the Brahmana with etiquette due to a guest. Commentary. A stranger who stays in a householder's residence for one day and leaves the next is called a titi, a guest. Technically, that name means without an appointment. Without a date. You know, in other words, he just comes, oh, who's at the door? Better not answer. It describes that if you look at a guest like that with staring eyes, angry that he's come, then if you're not a devotee, the reaction is, oh my God, the vultures will pluck your eyes out when you go to your friend Yamaraj. And householders have the opportunity to serve such guests for only one day. It is the Vyavahara Dharma, that means the Dharma of this world, or rule of etiquette, for a householder to serve his guests. Honoring guests is as good as serving the spiritual master. In other words, a guest is as worshipable as Lord Narayan. Therefore, it's called a Titi Narayan. That means a guest who is just like Narayan, who has it's the same benefit of worshiping Lord Narayan. Really, really, really important etiquette there. And that was a tradition in many, many cultures, not only in Indian culture. And now that tradition is being lost. So this is really important. Really, really important. It's called Vyavahara, which means of this world, the Dharma of this world. So, like we see in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, even when Krishna and Bhimsen and Arjuna went to see Jarasandha, they were received very, very nicely. Of course, they were fighting. That was during the day, and at night they were just like together as friends and eating feasts every night and enjoying life. And I guess they were also watching dancing girls at night too. These are Kshatriyas. That's what they do for entertainment. They certainly didn't go bowling. So, apane kariya tana para prakshalana vasate dilenani utama asana. He personally washed the Brahmana's feet and then offered him a proper seat. Kushtahai vasilena yadi vipravara tabi tane mishra Yignasena Kotagara. After the Brahmana was comfortably seated, Jagannath Mishra asked him, "Where is your residence?" So another point is that when Prabhupada was young, Prabhupada's father used to receive at least 4 sadhus a day in his house. And he was so hospitable that even if the sadhu asked for herbal medicine, we're not going to describe what herbal medicine is, but I think some of you can understand. Even when the sadhu asked for herbal medicine that he needed to smoke, okay, that's a hint, then his father would go out and get it for him. Oh my God. Don't do that today. Please do not do that today. Vipra bole ami udasina te shantare chitara vikshepe matra Paryatana kare. The Brahmana replied, I'm a wandering mendicant. I go wherever my restless mind takes me. So the word udasina means renounced or desireless. The word Deshantari refers to one who travels to places other than his birthplace. The phrase vikshepe matra means with agitation, disturbance, or anger. Pranati karya misra bolena vachana jagatera bhagye setumara paryatana. With folded hands, Jagannath Mishra said, your traveling is for the benefit of the world. The meaning of the second line of this verse is found in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8.4. Mahavichalanam rinam grihinam dina chetasam Nishreyasaya Bhagavan Kalpate Nanyata Kochit. O my Lord, O great devotee, persons like you move from one place to another not for their own interests, but for the sake of poor-hearted grahastas, householders. Otherwise, they have no interest in going from one place to another. Visheshata aji amara panama sobhagya agnadeha randanera karigya karya. Today I'm especially fortunate. Please order me and I will arrange for your cooking. Viprabole karamishra yehicha tumara harishekare la mishra divya upahara Randanera stana upaskari vala mate Dilena sakala sasha randana karite. The Brahmana replied, please do whatever you feel suitable. Jagannath Mishra then happily arranged all sorts of palatable ingredients. Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi nicely cleaned the kitchen and kept all the ingredients ready for cooking. in this verse, the word upahara means arrangement. The upaskari means cleaning with cow dung, and the word saja means decoration, arrangement, or ingredients. Now, one thing that's very interesting here is they didn't offer to cook for the Brahmin. Now, why not? Well, because in those days, a Brahmin cooked for himself. That's it. And Prabhupada said even sometimes if a Brahmin was very strict, then he wouldn't even have his wife cook for him. He would just do all the cooking himself. And Prabhupada comments that when some of these Brahmins somehow or other joined the army, the Indian army arranged for separate cooking utensils and facility for each of these Brahmanas so they wouldn't eat what's called a joint mess. In the joint mess where everybody ate, they would actually cook for themselves. The reason for that is that food affects the consciousness. Now, how does it affect the consciousness? When you eat, food becomes transformed into blood, and the blood carries the consciousness. So when you eat food that's cooked by someone whose consciousness is not so good, then that not so good consciousness becomes imbued in the food, especially by the cooking process. And then what happens is that not so good consciousness becomes transformed into blood. And the blood circulates in your body and you develop not so good consciousness. You are what you eat. That's why we do have this restriction that one should not eat food prepared, cooked, or in any way dealt with by those who are not Krishna conscious. Because if you do, your mind, according to Srila Prabhupada, becomes wicked. That's right. Even though you like to eat all these pre-prepared foods, you like to go for what? Chips and fries. You say, oh, it's just vegetable oil. Well, I got news for you. Apart from the consciousness degrading qualities of the food that you're buying, there have been many studies that food that is prepared in a factory or these pre-prepared foods lead or contribute to so many diseases in the body. Cancer of the bowels, cancer of the thyroid, many different types of cancer, many different types of stomach problems. That's in addition to the spiritual contamination that you will experience. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. I mean, I always tell the story how I experienced this when I was a young brahmachari and traveling with a sannyasi, and the sannyasi said, now we don't have an opportunity to cook, so let's just buy nice wheat bread in the store and salad dressing and everything like that. So we thought, whoopee, you don't have to follow strictly anymore. Of course, we followed the four regulated principles. So we bought all this stuff, and then we discovered that our consciousness was declining, disintegrating, becoming disgusting. How do we know this? Not that we both went to the bars or anything. But, we started arguing with each other, a lot of yelling and arguing. So, therefore, we decided the cause of that was the consumption of food that was contaminated. That's true. Eat contaminated food. Our minds were becoming wicked. So at that point, even though the only facility we had was a not a propane stove, a gas stove where you pump the gas, and we were living in a big van, we decided, or was decided that I would cook. And we had to roll rotis, chapatis, on top of the wheel well at the back of the van. And our consciousness became fantastic after that time. So it's a really important principle. People think, oh, it's not important. I can eat any damn thing as long as it's not meat, fish, or eggs, or whatever. It doesn't work like that. The person who cooks for you, they put their consciousness into the food, whether you like it or not. And then you become like them. Santoshe Brahmanavara Karya Randana Vasilena Krishnere Karite Nivedana. Satisfied with the arrangement, the Brahmin cooked and then sat down to make an offering to Krishna. Sarvabhuta Antaryami Sri Sachinandana Manayache Viprere Tibena Darashana. Sri Sachinandana, the super soul, of all living entities, then decided to give darshan to the Brahman. Janamatra karite lagila vipravara samukhe aila prabhu Shri Gaurasundara. As soon as the great Brahman began to meditate, Shri Gaurasundara came before him. So he's meditating, doing his offering. That's the point. Dula Maya Sarvanga Murti Digambara Aruna Nayana Kara Charana Sundara. The Lord was naked and all of his limbs were covered with dust. His eyes were reddish, and his hands and feet were most beautiful. Hasya Viprarahana Laya Shri Kare Eka Grasa Kailena Deki Vipravare. The Lord smiled and took a handful of the Brahmana's rice. He then ate the rice as the Brahmana watched. In other words, the Brahmana was offering the rice. So right when he was getting ready or in the process of offering the rice, Krishna took it, or Lord Caitanya took it. Haya, Kari, Bhagavanta Vipradake, Anachuri, Kari Leka Chanshala Balake. The fortunate Brahmin cried out, Alas, alas! This naughty boy has stolen the rice. Ashya Dekena Jagannatha Mishravada Bhattakaya Hase Prabhu Shri Gaurasundara. Jagannath Mishra came there and saw Shri Gaurasundara was smiling as he ate the Brahman's rice. Krode Mishra Daya Yayena Maribare Sambrame Utya Vipra Darilena Kare. In anger, Jagannath Mishra rushed to beat the Lord. The Brahmana, however, got up and apprehensively caught hold of Jagannath Mishra's hand. The word sambrame means with apprehension, and kari means in the hand. Viprabole Mishra tumi paradeki arya konjana balakera mariaki karya. Mishra, you were supposed to be a cultured Aryan. What is the use of beating this ignorant boy? The Brahmana said, O Mishra, you were elderly and respectable, and he is only a foolish child, so it is not worthwhile to punish him for his foolishness. Balamanda Jnana Yaha Yara Take Mari Tare Amara Shapotayari Maraha Uhare. Only one who can distinguish between right and wrong may be beaten. Therefore, I forbid you from beating this child. Commentary. There's no benefit in punishing a child who does not know what is right or wrong. Therefore, I forbid you from punishing him. Duke Vasilena Mishra Hastadiya Shire Matanahi Tole Mishra Vachana Naspure. Jagannath Mishra then sat down in distress, holding his head with his hands. He could not speak or lift his head. The reason he was in distress is because he didn't serve, such is the culture in those days, that he couldn't serve this Brahmana properly. And he was thinking, oh my God, it's very inauspicious. My own son did this to the Brahmana. My house, maybe be cursed or something like that because this Brahmana was not satisfied. And so he's just very, very, very depressed at this particular point because of the culture. These are cultured people. Try to understand that. We'll read one more verse. Viprabole Mishra Naba Vihamane Ye Dine Ye Habe Tahara Ishvaraj Sejane. The Brahmana said, "My dear Mishra, please don't feel sad. Whatever is meant to happen on a particular day is known only to the Lord." Commentary. A person gets only the food that has been allotted to him by the will of the Supreme Lord. One must know that the Supreme Lord alone gives one the fruits of one's activities. A living entity is unaware of the future. Whatever is unknown to the living entity is known to the Supreme Soul. So, because it's time to take questions, we're going to do that and we'll continue with the story tomorrow. So now we'll stop sharing. And give me a second. All right. We're going to allow you to unmute yourselves. Hold on a second. All right. And anybody who has a question can ask a question. Either you can raise your hand, you can type in the chat window, or you can unmute yourself at this particular juncture. So who has a question about anything we talked about or read today? Everybody's been so shy. Haribol. Okay, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Gora Hari.
Oh, Gaurahi, Hare Krishna.
Uh, I have a question,
Yeah,
and this is concerned because these are really difficult topics in terms of spiritual experiences.
yeah,
We talk about people, that interacting like normal, common people,
yeah,
and these are reactions that provide emotions, all sort of the feelings, uh, and I can see that. And it's hard for me to understand, and this is probably my difficulty to see the spiritual understanding in these stories, because I know that um, it seems like they just common people, but they're not.
No, they're not. No, actually, they're pure devotees. But the pure devotees are humble enough. Second, first two things. They're humble enough to not think of themselves as pure devotees. Pure devotees think of themselves as ordinary people, and therefore they follow the common etiquette and rules. That's the first thing. I mean, that's really important principle. And then pure devotees can generally not be understood to be pure devotees from the vision of those who are materialistic persons or even sometimes from other pure devotees. So you got these two different factors. Pure devotees are humble. They don't think of themselves as above the law. We often saw when people joined the movement years ago, when they were all kids, that they thought that they could do things were above the law, above common sense, above ordinary etiquette, above good manners, in the name of being Krishna conscious. So it didn't work out too well. And they weren't pure devotees. We definitely weren't pure devotees. But even a pure devotee is thinking, I'm an ordinary person. I have to follow ordinary etiquette. Except in cases where the guru may order him to do something unusual. But this is humility. So don't expect Jagannath Mishra to say, I'm a pure devotee. It doesn't care. It doesn't matter. No. No, they're not aware. A pure devotee is extremely humble. He thinks of himself as a servant of a servant of a servant of a servant of the Lord, who maintains the gopis in Vrindavan. So obviously they act like ordinary people. How else are they going to act? how else are they going to act? Just like I can't think of any other practical way they would act in this world, except like ordinary people following the etiquette for household life and receiving guests and being upset if the guest doesn't get anything to eat or the guest's offering is defiled by some kid. Is that right? So I hope you understand that. So that's the explanation of that. S All right. So is that right,
I
Gordon?
have another question, Maharaj, if that's
All right.
okay. I know that's
Yeah.
maybe taking too much time, but and just along the way with the story, that there's so many emotions and feelings involved
Yeah.
in this in this stories,
Yeah.
and these are emotions that I'm sure that we could relish somehow.
Uh-huh.
I know that, and for the Vaishnav, emotions are very important, and
Right.
they're not something that we're going to just give out, or
Yeah.
can't give up emotions. They come and,
No.
and go. That's how
So
it is.
so what's the question?
So the point is, how can I link these stories and these emotions, just by reading it? How can I relate and have maybe emotions that could help me achieve it?
Oh,
Um,
how can you have emotions? Well, that's actually a very good question. Of course, the emotions of they're experienced by Jagannath Mishra, the emotions they're experienced by the Brahman, etc., are transcendental because they're focused on Krishna. So if you have emotions that are focused on Krishna, maybe, I mean, obviously, Krishna's not your son, and you're not in India receiving brahmanas. But in other words, we can be in anxiety, for example, about not being Krishna conscious. We can be anxiety about the welfare of someone who we love, who we want them to be Krishna conscious. So emotions, even in our immature stage of Krishna consciousness, before we come to the even higher stages, what to speak of pure devotional service, can be motivated or stimulated by our Krishna conscious activities or desire for Krishna conscious activities or desire for other people's welfare or desire for the world's welfare. I mean, for example, if I happen to read the news, which I do, admission, I get an anxiety. I'm thinking, why are these people Krishna conscious? Why are they fighting each other? And that emotion, because it's dovetailed in Krishna's service, is spiritual. Or if you're serving in the temple, which you're not doing, obviously, but if you're serving in the temple, you're in anxiety over what? The deity service. You're in anxiety over the project to build a new temple. You're in anxiety over the cleanliness of the temple. You're in anxiety over the safety of the devotees or getting prasadam and not prasadam. All these can be Krishnaized, or they are Krishnaized. So even our ordinary emotions, if we use them in Krishna consciousness, they're focused on the object of something that's pleasing to Krishna, then that emotion that you're experiencing is purified or can be purified. So it's not that we get rid of emotions, but obviously our emotions are not the same as Jagannath Mishra's emotions or Shachi Mata's emotions or the Brahmana's emotions. These are all pure devotees. But we do have a way to dovetail our emotions in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so let someone else ask a question. All right. Oh, here's a private question. Okay. Dear Guru Maharaj, when the family is not devotees and they like to eat from outside, I can't avoid eating outside with them as that's an expectation. How can I be protected? Well, in that case, you have to just pray to Krishna and try to avoid it insofar as possible. But don't eat meat, fish, or eggs. At least mushrooms. Mushrooms are okay. Don't worry. You can don't eat garlic or onions. At least do that. But obviously, if you're doing this because you have to and you're not choosing to eat outside, Krishna will give you special protection in those circumstances. I guarantee. Because sometimes because of social needs or whatever. I mean, one time I had to go to my mother's 90th birthday party, and I ate some steamed vegetables or something like that, salad. Obviously, it wasn't devotee prepared, and I just understood, this was a social obligation, even though sannyasi is not supposed to have social obligations, but even though I understood it, and it was necessary, so Krishna protected me, and I'm still here today, even after, even after I took boiled vegetables. I'm still here today. That's miraculous. Krishna protected me. Okay, so time to end. So we'll see everybody tomorrow. Tomorrow is probably going to be much shorter. I'm going to be at the temple. We're celebrating Tulsi Shalagram Vivaha. That means the marriage between Tulsi Devi and the Shalagram Shila. So there's going to be a whole ceremony tomorrow, and I think the class is only going to be for about 10, 15, 20 minutes max. And then there's this whole ceremony that's being arranged. And so maybe we'll broadcast the ceremony too. Okay, see everybody later. All glories to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki.